can never see themselves getting justice. Recently, a woman, a couple, very poor couple came to me. Usually people come to me when they have reached like a dead end. Down the road they tell them, you know, go to Matembe. And they come over thinking I'm the president or the prime minister or whatever. Because when they arrive there, they know the solution is there. And then you don't have it. But you imagine this couple, I couldn't even believe it. I'm glad I'm here to tell you lawyers, go and hear it with me. How can somebody go and deliver a baby in a hospital? And the hospital retains the baby and refuses to release the baby to this poor small couple for 3 good months that they cannot pay money meet the cost of the hospital charges. I mean, I couldn't understand. I even say, you people, what's wrong with you? Couldn't you meet another C1? Couldn't you meet what? Whom you could talk to? And these people were crying, and that showed me what happens out there in relation to our people in this country. And yet, there is all systems, judiciary, executive, everywhere, and all our taxes are going for them. And yet, people are suffering. So I was thinking, this thing you are talking about is the one to redeem, to help. But then, my sister, whom I love so much, comes and says, forget it completely. Forget it. It's a non-starter. It's useless. I said, now, what do we do now? And then I was reminded of Martin Luther Jr. said, if you cannot fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, at least crawl down, but keep on moving. Because one day, and you know one day what happened anyway, as he was talking. So I want to say that let us not give up. I believe that when we don't give up, one day, let me tell you, winners don't quit. If you quit, you lose completely. But if you continue, irrespective of whatever challenges you are going through, you are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, and you may achieve something. Now, having said that, I want to talk about the environment which you talked about. All these things we are talking about are within the context of the political environment. That's it. The political environment which is polluted, defiled by whatever you call it. Materialism, corruption, moral decadence, ethical value degeneration that has wrapped everything in this country. That is the environment in which we are operating. And as long as we are operating in this environment, high expectations, no, but tenacity and determination to continue struggling in whichever way until one day I know things change. But if you are reimagining the thing, reimagine it. If you are reinvigorating, but don't do what? Don't give up. The whole idea of Ugandans being gripped with such enormous of fear, fearing all the time, fearing to lose jobs, fearing about to die, fearing, and as a person who has lived in this country through very difficult environment, I saw those people fearing and they died, and others fear and they died, and I am here, I'm not yet dead, I'm not fearing anything. And I would call upon Uganda.
First of all, I expected that question. And I want to say that all of us highly regret that. We who participated in the constitution making, we really regretted how and why we never, not why actually, because why I know why. But just why it happened is what kills me. Because I want to tell you, the political environment or the social, political, whatever environment that is going on in the country determines what is in your mind and what you can put. And one thing I want to tell you, that we who were in the Constitution, and by the way, nobody even raised the issue of entrenching it, because it was really like automatic. It was automatic. The environment at that time was such that nobody can ever raise this whole issue of removing the term limit. Why? This man, President Museveni, maybe he's, I don't know what to say, but he will be with you and you think you are 100% together, and therefore you see what you see as good is what he is seeing as good. Remember, he had even written a book identifying the problem of Africa and in particular Uganda, which was an issue of governance, and central to it was leaders who did not want to leave power peacefully. You can imagine somebody tells you that is the main problem which must stop, and you are with him and you agree, yes, this cannot happen again, and for that matter, let us put it in the Constitution and say that every president will be for 2 terms only. And all of that, that time and that environment in 1995, it was like, yeah, if you have ever seen people born again, you don't know you people. When the NRM came here, it was like everybody got born again. People spoke the truth. People would face you in the face and tell you the truth. You remember we were having given elections behind somebody. A person will tell you, no, you are a wrong person. You beat your wife, you terrorize the family. How can we choose you as a leader? And say, okay, next time I'm going to repent. So the environment was not suspicious. We acted naively, if you can allow me to say that. That maybe we were naive, but I can assure you it was the atmosphere was that it can never. And let me tell you, when I saw Museveni at Champanzi, when I was seated in front of him, and him and I had talked about this issue, and he had said, no, he can never, he must follow the Constitution, and sitting at Champanzi. And he looks at me, and we had even went to when the issue was being discussed of Kuchako, Exande. He said, no, that is not an issue which we are going to debate at all. That is nonsense. That cannot, it is no deal, no nothing. Oh, so we went to Champanzi to name. And what does this man sit there and say? The first thing he raises and says, this issue of Sanja, I want you to discuss it in terms of removing the term limit altogether. I said, wow! I almost collapsed. I'm telling you. So if you are blaming us, you blame us. God knows. But the environment was such that we could never have suspected the evil. Let me tell you, people who are driven to power by ambition are very different from those who are driven by a vision. Because with a vision, it is that which drives people for the good of others, and therefore others saw it. They see it and they run with it. But if you are driven by a personal ambition, it's only you who knows it. And you know at which stage when you become your true colors. In the meantime, you are hiding who you are, and therefore people walk with you and agree with you, and that's the mistake we made. But surely, having made that mistake and then the age limit was there, I mean, when everything had been seen, couldn't these people, it comes back to you, because even the parliament was bought in order to do what? To remove the term limit. Even if you are not entrenched, if the parliament was not bought by 5 million, it would not have been removed. And even later on, this the age limit also to be removed. Please forgive us. No excuse. The evil is within the people themselves. But for us, there was no evil. It was just an environment which was unsuspicious. So we behaved maybe naively. So you can forgive us. Major keeps saying that, you know, you want to do something and you do something else. I don't know. But it was said, I always quote for you, the Bible will forgive me. In Corinthians, St. Paul said, whatever good I want to do is not what I do. I find myself doing that one which I can't do, which I don't want to do. And the evil in me is the one making me do that. And therefore we have to do away with the evil in us if we are to get better. And the issue is about constitutionalism. People keep talking of constitution. In fact, when we finished the constitution and started implementing it in 1996, that's the time I realized that President Museveni was passionate and loved the constitution, but he did not understand the issue of constitutionalism. Because as soon as we entered parliament and started implementing the constitution, he rose up in arms and he said, what is the constitution? I will fight all of them and make sure that the constitutionalism is not in this plan. So constitutionalism is different from constitution. If the constitution is there and there is no constitutionalism, that is putting it into practice, it does not.
On the issue of the amendment of term limits, to me, what took me aback was not Gen.Museveni's attempt, which became successful in causing the amendment. Leaders can become vulnerable when there are no controls, when there are no adequate checks and balances. What took me aback was, and that's why I never paid attention, the fact that we knew that whoever would want to amend that provision would need to raise 2/3 of Parliament. And in my mind at that time, it did not occur to me at all that it would be possible for anybody to raise that 2/3 in Parliament. So we had faith in leaders that would emerge from the population. Now, looking back, and the situation has degenerated further, because the same traits in the leadership, in Parliament, then, compared with where we are at now, it looks as if we are degenerating further and further, to the extent that you would almost think that even if, for example, we had put another provision like a referendum, then you almost come to the same conclusion that even a referendum would have been manipulated, rigged, and still would have had an amendment done. So again, we have to look at and say, what kind of people are we? Because if those members of Parliament reflect who we are, then there's something deep that we need to deal with. So, it's a dilemma. Let's have to keep focused on that. But to me, I know there are many Ugandans who are principled, who are value driven. The only challenge I noticed that many of them are terrified of going into politics. And until we get many of them choose to get into politics, either direct or influence politics, the direction of politics from wherever they are, to the extent that the country goes in the correct direction, then we all have to be ready to be led by whatever idiots emerge out of us and become our reflection. I don't think we have got any other choice other than that. And on the issue of gay rights, I have a sense that those who are involved in the struggle for rights, LGBTs, that the road ahead is going to be tough and it's going to be long. Why do I say so? Because when you find in a society where there is a consensus between tradition and religion on an issue, as there was in this particular issue, as happens since creation, where people advance rights in different areas. For example, even in the democracies in the Western world, like America, women had the voting rights only in 1920 something. They had been in a struggle for centuries because there had been traditionally a consensus about women there, until they kept on struggling until they reached that level where the culture changed, the consciousness changed, and women started having the vote. Even as we speak in some of the Western democracies, from what I understand, I don't have particulars, the areas where you find that women and men are not paid the same for the same kind of work. But the struggle is on, and I believe there's going to be a time when there's going to be that. So for those who are fighting for gay rights here in Uganda and a number of African countries, the road is going to be tough and it's going to be long. Because there's a consensus as we speak between tradition and religion. It doesn't matter which religion. Because even within religion, when you find Muslims, Catholics, Protestants, Pentecostals having a consensus on one particular issue, then you know how tough that kind of struggle will be. That's the comment I can give on that. Thank you.
Thank you, General.